What brings us here today is to reply to some allegations and controversy about Senator Branham feigning concern over an email that I had sent. Now, the fight's not really about that email. We actually found out walking in this building that there was another matter, a darker matter laying behind this, and that issue you won't even find in our handout today. We were not expecting it. We had no idea that's what this is about. But the fight is really about HB 1412, which is the Agenda 21 nullification bill. Branham is determined to kill that bill in his Energy Committee. He's the chairman. Now, that thing passed the House overwhelmingly on a 41 basis. 67 to 17 it passed. Bipartisan support. Agenda 21 is about taking private property through use restrictions. Agenda 21 is promoted by radical environmentalists, animal rights activists, and those with extreme social agendas. Senate leadership took the unprecedented step of asking the OSBI investigate me over an email that we sent in a public manner. They intend to file blackmail charges against me. Their original intent was to investigate me for some kind of a threat. That fell through. They were stymied by the facts, so they switched tactics, and they're going back on the blackmail. Political advocacy is not blackmail. It is a core First Amendment right. It is constitutionally permissible and constitutionally protected. Petitioning the government in a matter pending before the state legislature is a basic U.S. and Oklahoma constitutional right. Criminal statutes cannot criminalize what is legally considered constitutionally permissible speech. If that is to be the standard of conduct, then arrest every Senate and House leader in this building, especially arrest the whips. The whip's sole job is to intimidate, to offer inducements, to punish House members that do not, and Senate members that do not do what they want them to do. Their job is to force the legislators to toe the leadership's line. There is no question that force and threats and intimidation and inducements are used in politics. When I see the Debbie Leftowich scandal talking about, I laugh. I know how it works down here. The implication of the Senate leadership's actions is enormous for grassroots activists, for journalists, for any citizen that wants to hold politicians accountable. Those that think they're untouchable because they're term limited are the beneficiaries of this criminalization of First Amendment speech. There are those that can convolute our criminal statutes into criminalizing free speech. They can take the blackmail statutes and turn a public conversation, widely publicized, into a private conversation that is sent with the intent of blackmail. Blackmail itself, indeed, blackmail, if you put the threat out there and you're a blackmailer, you lose all power over your victim. We know this. Blackmail is done in the shadows. That email was sent out not only to the recipient or the guy that had forwarded the email to me and Mr. Branham, but also to this guy's BCC lists. That is not a private message intended on blackmailing someone. That is a public message sent out there to basically petition our government to pass this bill. Core First Amendment speech and petitioning the government is a matter of public concern, and it must be protected at all costs. There are those that will take issue with the Sooner Tea Party over our tactics. We do not disagree with them. Many people don't have the stomach for what we do. They might take offense at how we do things, but the one thing they cannot deny is that the Sooner Tea Party is unprecedented about getting our view across. We make them listen. We make them read that Sunday night newsletter. All the Capitol people read it, all the senators, all the representatives. We are effective. Politics is a battle over ideas and values that is fought mostly in individual battles or individual issues on legislation. It's not fought with guns and knives. It's fought with pen and paper, with phone calls and emails. In all battles, there's winners and losers. There's also collateral damage, which is what a lot of people get upset with when we do what we do. It's impossible to draw a full and complete picture of any politician without investigating their friends, their families, and their associates. Digging into a politician's background is core political purpose. It is something that every journalist in the world does. It is something that every political opponent in Oklahoma does. It is required if you're going to try to win your race. If we weren't effective, they wouldn't have attacked us. You don't attack someone that's marginal. You attack the people that are hurting you badly. Political pain and embarrassment will be necessary if the citizens expect to regain control of this Senate down here from the State Chamber of Commerce and special interests. The special interests want things to remain like they are, but this country and this state are spiraling into uncertainty. The time for nice behavior is over with. We have got to stand up as citizens and hold them accountable. The political games where the House, the Senate, and the governor takes turns killing important legislation to protect special interests, those days are over. They think they can use a term-limited politician to kill legislation that the public supports. Then if they think that, then we will be sure that that legislator is hung with that around his neck for now on. We will put him on the internet as a traitor to Oklahoma people and Oklahoma values. That is our purpose. We don't want anything from these politicians except you follow the public good. You represent your constituents as they wish to be represented. You're not a king. We're here to stay. We will never back down. We're asking the citizens of Oklahoma to contact Senator Branham at oksenate.gov and demand that he allow HB 1412 be heard. You can call the Senate switchboard and ask for him by name at 524-0126. We also ask the citizens to contact your own representative and your own state senator and demand that they support this bill and get this bill heard. This fight is not about rough language in an email. This fight is about the ability of Senator Branham, one man, to override the other 148 legislators in this building. This is about the property rights of over 3 million Oklahomans. This is about Agenda 21. Now, in our handout, you'll find no mention of the thing that popped up this morning and what the scuttlebutt is. And those that know the Center Tea Party and are on our email list, you know that we have an unusually deep sources inside the Capitol, in the House, Senate, and also in staff. We had heard a story come out several years ago that we basically looked at and said, you know what, we're going to mention this, but we're going to keep the names out of it because this is not hardcore. This is not, we didn't have 3 sources, so we're not going to run with this. The scuttlebutt this morning, and I found this out walking in, is Mr. Branham is concerned that we have some information on him on an alleged infidelity. That is why Mr. Branham has reacted the way he does. That is why a citizen is basically being charged with blackmail, or they want to charge me with blackmail for writing a letter that's saying, we will hold you accountable. We will dig into your family and past. That, my friends, is tyranny. That is scary. I want to thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
It's funny you mentioned infidelity. Did you know that his wife was coming to the Capitol today to be honored for an award today?
Sir, honestly, this happened a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'll tell you when we wrote about this if you want to look it up. There was a story a year and a half, 2 years ago where we talked about 4 or 5 legislators that were basically had been caught in infidelities. And we went public with some of the names because we had 3 sources. And again, we said these are rumors. We're very careful. We're not journalists. We're never rise to you guys' standards if we hadn't had the training that you guys have got. We learn as we go. But in this one case, we couldn't get a hardcore yes or no. This was actually a good, solid allegation, so we didn't mention it. We mentioned the story, but not the man's name. It had completely slipped my mind. Guarantee you it would have been in this handout had I remembered that thing, had we been able to use it. And at this day, we still say it's an allegation because we don't know other than rumor, but he needs to be asked. And if it's true, he needs to resign.
So why bring it up now?
Why bring it up now? It's because it's the real reason why he's attacking us, according to the scuttlebutt inside the Senate. Why shouldn't I bring it up?
Mr. Gerhart, are you advocating violence against members you don't agree with?
Absolutely not. Never. I would challenge anyone to find anything I've ever said. We use a lot of battle metaphors because war is nothing other than politics by another name. We absolutely do not condone violence in any form or fashion. It's unproductive. It would bring a tyranny, a terrorist state upon us. It would erode our freedoms. Absolutely not.
Have you already started this background check on Senator Branham?
We have not. As I stand here, I swear, we found out about this, that this was a motivation as I was walking into the Capitol from a phone call. I called a couple of the sources. They confirmed it.
You still plan to look into his background if this House bill is passed out of his committee?
I think we should. I think we should find out who this secretary or executive assistant was that the rumors talking about. I think we need to do some open record requests and find out who has been working for him in the past and find out what's going on here. Or just ask the man, is this true, yes or no? Now, I want to be careful. The rumors basically says that the woman did not reciprocate, that she basically said, hold on, big boy, the feelings are not mutual. This is not anything bad against this woman at all. It's more about a senator that's basically was acting in an unsenatorial manner.
Do you have proof of that?
No, sir. We repeat it. It's an allegation that we had a year and a half, 2 years ago. We couldn't run it because we had no absolute proof. We couldn't even pin the rumor down. We got 2 sources. That ain't enough. Even 3 is probably not enough for y'all's standards, and I appreciate that.
The allegation is that he hit on a woman, I mean, hit romantically on a woman who's not his wife.
The allegation specifically, as I'm told, is that he fell in love with the executive assistant. Went home, told his wife, I'm going to divorce you. I'm in love with this other woman. Comes back to the Capitol, professes his love to his executive assistant, and she says, hold on, big boy, the feelings aren't mutual. Something to that effect. He goes back, apologizes to his wife. She's got a very high social standing in her area, Nichols Hills, and the story that we're hearing is that she would rather keep things quiet and put up with it. I don't have a problem with her getting her marriage straightened out. I hope they do get it straightened out. But to use this, to think that someone has got some information on you to attack them in this manner, that is uncivil. Who's next?
So you don't think he did anything wrong at all?
Sir?
You don't think he did anything wrong at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Under the same circumstances.
Sir?
You sent out the email again under the same circumstances.
Absolutely. When you talk about a person's family, you're not talking about his kids. Who could care less what 3-year-old Bobby, if Bobby wet his bed or not? What you care about is his parents, where he came from, his brothers, his sisters, his uncles, the adults in his family. And you notice and I'm told that that's what Mr. Brandon thought that we were talking about. When I said family, he thought we were talking about his alleged indiscretion with his executive assistant a year or 2 years ago. We couldn't help that. Wasn't even on our mind at the time.
So how does this further your cause by bringing this up now?
By bringing it up right now, it basically shows the motivation to this guy why he's attacking me. Now, there's people.
But how is this going to help you advance your cause with Agenda 21 and the bill itself?
It probably won't. It probably just gets in the way. Again, that's the reason why you're not going to find any mention of that stuff on this thing. Number one, we didn't know about it. Number two, until we walked in the Capitol, we didn't know it was an issue. So, but Mr. Brandon needs to be asked, what was his motivation behind this? Are there any rumors, this allegations? And you ask yourself, why would you attack a constituent? And by the way, this guy is a chairman of a committee. He is everyone's constituent. You're his constituent whether you live in his district or not. When he serves on that committee, he's representing all of Oklahoma. So don't get trapped into this thing where you have to live in his district to complain about him. He's going to take your property rights away. He's going to sit back while others do it. And we tell people this Agenda 21 is not going to happen overnight, but you look 20, 30 years down the road, it'll be here. You look it up, it's scary. And you know, people mention UN to me on these emails, I'll delete the email because it's 10 full hat wearing people. You know, what you get into, what they call them, Bilderberg and all this stuff, you write it off. But this is real. This needs to be addressed. This is not a federal law that we're asking them to nullify. This is a UN program that they want to ram down our throats. What I say is this: if we need any kind of a water planning or any kind of a land planning, let's do it right here at the Capitol, where people like you and I can report on it, where people like you and I can write our senator, perhaps even threaten him if that's what you want to do, and control that legislation. Let's control it here, not in Washington, D.C., or wherever the UN is headquartered.
Mr. Gerhart, you mentioned the water. Did you or any members of the Senior Tea Party attend the legislative hearings on the water in 2010 and 2011?
No, sir. To tell you the truth, we encourage our people not to come to the Capitol. Our job is to talk to their voters, not to the politicians themselves. They know what's right. They know what's wrong. They know what their constituents want. And I wish that we had the time and the resources to do it, but most of us are, working for a living, doing what we can.
Have you sent similar emails to legislators?
Absolutely. There was one, that matter of fact, just minutes before this one was sent out. We sent this one to the entire House, to be specific, and I wrote about it in our newsletter on Sunday night if you want to see the actual email. And what we said was basically, boys and girls, this, SB 76, where they were going to jack up all these filing fees for filing for office. They were going to, like $1,000 to some of them. We basically said, boys and girls, this is not a political hill you want to die on. Can you explain I'm paraphrasing here. Can you explain this to your constituents? We want this bill to die. And less than, 16, 18 hours later, I received an email from one of the House members saying it basically just got pulled off the considerations table till next year, which means it's dead. So the thing about the Tea Party is, and our tactics, as ugly as they are, as uncomfortable as they are, it works. These guys killed this thing. The Senate passed that bill. How can you look your constituents in the face and say we jacked up the filing cost by $1,000 to keep the little guys out? How can you look your constituents in the face and say that?
So are you proud of the tactics you use, the intimidation and threats?
No, sir. I'm not proud of it at all. I wish we could sit down and talk with them like reasonable human beings. But when they take one man that's term limited and basically use him to subvert the will of the state of Oklahoma, of the 101 legislators over here in this House that basically passed that bill overwhelmingly, what choice do we have left? We're going to have to make them listen one way or the other. I'd rather do it civilly. If not, we'll do what we have to do. No violence, though.
Do you think the mentioning of this alleged affair that you said is based on rumors? Do you think that's going to ratchet things up? That's not going to calm anything down, is it?
It's not. This doesn't need calm down. We need everyone here outraged that they would attack a citizen. You know, one of the biggest things that labels I get say, well, Al Gerhart's a bully. Let me tell you what, Al Gerhart doesn't have state police going after people and coming to their business and harassing their neighbors. Al Gerhart, if he did do that, he would call the number on the side of the building and say, Al, I need to talk to you about this matter. To this day, they have not, to this minute, they have not ever contacted me. Now, I contacted the chief of Capitol Police, or the chief of Highway Patrol yesterday about 4:45, and his secretary, and I said, why are these people doing this? I want to know what's going on. His secretary promised he would send it to him on the BlackBerry. Hadn't heard from the man. Here's the plain truth. They're not looking hard to find me because they know what we do. They don't want to be a part of it. Now, they may have to come down there and do this investigation. They ain't wanting to do it.
Al, are you surprised by the GOP calling you out on this, and yet they've never called you out on any time you've done the same tactics to the Democrat or the President of the United States?
Specifically, who called me out? I'm sorry.
Well, the GOP is calling you out on this incident, but they've never called you out when you've used these kinds of tactics against Democratic lawmakers who they've been in office to, or when you've talked about the President, you've done these kinds of tactics. This is not the first time you've done these tactics. And yet they're calling you out just because it's a GOP member now and not a Democrat.
You know what? Our fight has always been against the GOP. We came down here with stars in our eyes as a Tea Party and thought it was the liberal Democrats that were the problem. They're not. You look at our history and who we fight. We fight liberal Republicans. We fight those people that will not represent their constituents. The most liberal of the people have never gotten an email from us. They've never gotten a newspaper in their district because they're representing their constituents. Maybe they know who they are. They sent them there. They're voting the way they're supposed to. We got no problem with it. As far as the GOP itself attacking me, Lord knows this is politics. You know, everybody that reads the newsletter knows that when the GOP county convention came up a couple of weeks ago, the guy that we didn't want as chairman got defeated. The guy that we didn't say we wanted, the other guy, but he was the lesser of evils. But the woman that we wanted as vice chair got elected. The GOP knows we're a force to be reckoned with. And when I say that, I say we, the Sooner Tea Party. I ain't squat. I'm a carpenter. I don't own a suit. I don't ever plan on running for office. But I represent a lot of people that send me money and help out and wrap newspapers and get in their cars and drive miles and miles delivering newspapers, help us research. Those are the people that I represent, and that's the power base. But I'm the head. I'm the one they're going to attack.
Have you spoken with the OSBI yet? Have they made contact with you?
No, sir, they haven't.
Have any problems getting in the building today?
No, sir. Now, keep in mind that the OSBI, that we had a little story about them, and we dealt extensively with their legal counsel. I forget the guy's name, but he's their legal guy. We know him. He's got my email address. He's got my phone number. Again, guys, I am not Joe Sixpack in a trailer park making threats. I'm someone that's well known what we do, how we do it, and that we've never stepped over the line and never will when it comes to any form of violence. When it comes to throwing out dirty laundry, they're the one that did it. I didn't do it in discretion on my wife. He did. If you don't want it put out there, don't do it. Let's start putting men of character. This is my beef with the GOP. Let's start putting men of character in this building down here. Now, sometimes a man of character won't agree with you, but you know that he's doing it for the right reasons because his heart tells him that this is the right decision for the betterment of this state. That's all we ask for.
To be clear, did you know his wife was coming to the Capitol today to be honored? And did you time your press conference today and make this announcement that you made today?
Absolutely not. And God bless this woman, and I feel for her. I really do. I'd say this to this woman, that she deserves better than what she's got.
Do you think thinking by embarrassing the senator, if that's, you're gonna get your way by going that route?
You know what? If not this time, it will next time. If they know that we're going to hold them accountable, number one, you have to the one that they say about us is two things they say about Al Gerhart and the Senator Tea Party. We love what you do. We don't dare stand beside you when you do it. It's dangerous. This is proof. Second thing they understand about me is that I know the number one rule of politics, the one rule you cannot evade, and that is there are no rules. This is a fight. They have got their foot on our neck as citizens. The special interests have taken over down here. And in the last 3 years, we have been successful in getting the House of Representatives straightened out to a great degree. Anybody remember that article we did about the little YouTube video where our political enemies put up a video basically saying that Charlie Meadows and I control the House of Representatives? Well, there's a certain truth to that. Now, here's the thing about our power. It's not unlimited. We can't just get any bill passed. But they know if they hand us a club that we can beat them with it. Like that SB 76 where they were going to jack up the filing cost. They knew they had to back down in a heartbeat. Now, this year we've got a great conservative Speaker of the House. He is doing everything he can to make sure every faction gets heard. They passed some great legislation over into the Senate. But the proof of the pudding on Mr. Shannon is if he fights for those legislation. Now, behind the scenes, what is happening is that the House is basically counting bills that pass the Senate, and they're counting bills that they pass, Senate bills. There's going to be a tit for tat there. I commend him for that. But there's some issues like this Agenda 21, there is just no debate. There is no reason not to pass this law. It needs to pass.